Hello everyone, Jason Bowers, financial planner here, and welcome back to the channel. So today's topic is going to be what should help drive your overall decisions. And that can be the biggest challenge that we have is trying to define our goals, right? What's important to us, trying to plan for decades from now, potentially. What direction do you head in? It's like being in the middle of a massive intersection. If any of you traveled overseas, you'll see intersections that almost look like an asterisk, right? It's a massive intersection with 7 or 8 roads all feeding into it. And how those lights work and the people know when to cross is beyond me. But I know in the military, when I was stationed in Busan, South Korea, there were several of those intersections. And I was glad I was a passenger in the vehicle and not navigating any of those because it could be challenging. But picture yourself approaching that hypothetical intersection for the very first time and not knowing even what street to go down, right? You can be at a total loss of where you should be going. That loss and that fear can lead to inaction. I'm not even going to approach the intersection. Now I'll figure it out later on. Well, guess what? It's not going to be any easier later on. The longer that you wait, the tougher it is. But what should drive those decisions? What should drive you to approach that intersection? Even if it is with a lack of confidence and things of that nature. It really should be your values. Those values, that meaningful life that we try to create for ourselves is typically a life that aligns with our values. If our family is most important to us, then we're going to value experiences and family time. If having a complete life and an experience-based life, maybe we're big on traveling and seeing the world. If one of our values might be culture-driven, we want to see how other people live. Maybe one of our values is giving back to people. So estate planning and creating wealth that can transfer. All of those things are really going to help you drive the decisions. But your values collectively will help define which road you should take in that massive intersection. So if you view money as a tool and you don't define to yourself what truly matters within your life, your future, your goals, then you're going to overspend on things that simply don't fulfill you. And you're going to underspend on what truly matters, the things that are going to make you happy, make the people that are important to you happy, which then in turn makes you happy. And you'll end up drifting financially. And that financial drift is typically coinciding with not having a plan. You're just standing there almost like what Neo in the Matrix, dodging bullets, right? The next thing that comes, you're worried about, getting out of the way as opposed to coming up with a plan to prepare for what life throws at you. How do we define that? How do you define what truly matters to you? That's the one thing that when I talk with people and in building their financial plan that they are challenged with the most. It's not, if I ask them a very specific directed question, do you plan on helping your kids pay for college? That's a very specific directed question that leads them to a simple yes or no answer. But if I said, what matters to you most financially? A lot of people will be challenged to come up with a very specific answer. They're going to hem and haw, and I'm not sure. I haven't really thought about that. I guess maybe this, potentially that. So it's a lot of, they're giving answers just to give answers. It's not anything that puts some true thought into it. So some of the things that you could ask yourself to help drive that knowledge, to help drive that first step in the thinking process, to define what's important to you is, one, what does a good life look like to you? Is it having enough money? Is it having a large home where people can gather? Is it having a small place to live because you like to travel? Think about, what do you want your life to look like 10 years from now? What do you want your life to look like as you lead up to retirement? What do you want your life to look like in retirement? Most importantly, how do you want people to remember you and the life that you led? Think about the things that you thought about in those few moments. Once you can work with somebody to help you extrapolate that out of your mind and define it, then you can choose the path. You can choose the path that will lead you towards that life that you want to live, that life that you envisioned a few moments ago. And defining your values, that's typically what is rooted, or what roots what you want your life to look like. We all can come up with that if we keep our eyes closed long enough and we truly challenge ourselves. We can come up with what we feel our life, or what we feel a successful life looks like and what we want it to look like. And in hindsight, looking back, saying that's exactly how I wanted my life to be. So the second thing you can think about, what do you want your money to do for you and your family? But think about, we do a great job of saving during our working years, right? But also, we don't want to save so much that we're unable to live today. It's that line in the sand of, I want to save for tomorrow, but you only live once. And you don't want to have both feet on either side of that line, because if you're all in on I want to save for tomorrow, then you end up ignoring today and saying no to things today in order to say yes to something 3 decades from now. And if you live for today, like I only live once, tomorrow's not promised. Yeah, but statistically speaking, tomorrow's a very high probability. But if you don't save anything and you make decisions based off of today without tomorrow in mind, tomorrow's version of you is going to be very, very disappointed in yesterday's version of you. So it's having one foot on each side of that line. Yes, I want to live for today and make sure that there's great experiences for myself, my family, and my income allows me to do that. But I also, it's not either or, it's also need to set aside some of the income that I earn today, so the me in the future that's not earning any income can still live the life that they want, the life that you envision, defining what you want your money to do for you. And that's something that's literally a white pad of paper. I want to help pay for my kids' college. I want to help put together a down payment for my son's first home. I want to help pay for Sally's wedding. I want to be debt free by the time I'm 30 years old. I want to have a fully paid off house by the time I retire. I want to have exactly the same amount of income in retirement that I have today. I want to make sure that my family is not burdened if something were to happen to me, whether it be a premature passing, a long-term care event, whatever it may be. Those are all things that can be solved by directing your money towards certain aspects of your life to plan for the future. What about after your passing? What do you want your legacy to provide for the people left behind, your surviving spouse, your kids, your family? Those are all things that need to be considered when asking yourself, what do you want your money to do for you and your family? So the last thing to consider is, what would make you proud 20 years from now? However old you may be right now, think about 20 years from now, the 20 years from now version of you, looking back on your life. What are the few things that you would be able to hang your hat on and think, it made me proud? When I did that, today it makes me proud. For me, one of the biggest things right now is the military. And I only put in 7 years in the United States Army as a military police officer. But I can look back on that and say, I'm proud that I did that. Now, during the time, I got stationed overseas and things of that nature, and it wasn't necessarily exactly what I wanted to do in the moment. But now that I'm older, I'm going to be 50 this year, I can look back at that time in my early to mid 20s, and I'm proud of myself that I took that journey, that I took that step, that boy, was that step scary. But at the end of the day, I'm proud that I did that. I survived, and I'm no worse for the wear. I can also look back 13, 14 years ago when I got into this industry, and I'm proud of myself for making that leap, for jumping into an industry that meant something to me and get out of an industry that lost all meaning to me. Even though that industry paid me very well, I lost my sense of purpose. There was nothing, it didn't match my values anymore. And that's why I love the career that I'm in right now, is that it's perfectly aligned with my values together. And it allows me to help people in the way that I've been able to help myself, been able to help my family, and been able to help many people that I work with already. That is what I can look back and say that I'm proud of. So think about yourself. After this video, I challenge you, before you watch the next one, say to yourself, what needs to happen in order for the 20 years from now version of you to look back and say, I'm proud I did that. I'm proud I accomplished that. I'm proud of that moment. I'm proud of that sacrifice. I'm proud of that path, whatever it may be. Defining your values is not as easy as you may think. There's nothing better than to get somebody else in the room, maybe somebody that's not normally inside of your four walls, that's not going to just tell you what you want to hear, but it's going to help extrapolate what your values truly are by asking you questions and challenging you and providing different perspectives and challenging the way that you think to truly define what your values are. Because once you define what those values are, your path will become more clear. And that more clear path, when you're standing in that intersection with all of those different options around you, imagine that one lights up, because that's the clear path for you. You can now change and go down that path with the clarity, the confidence that you need to create that financial plan, to create that path towards your goals, knowing full well that you'll have the confidence that you're doing the right thing, that they're working towards your goals, and that your goals are aligned with your values. And then when you are at the end of that path, you can look back and say, I'm proud that I made that choice. I'm proud that I took that step. I'm proud of myself that I made the challenging decision to do that, and that I didn't compromise my values to chase something that really doesn't matter to me. Those can be some challenging conversations. Some of the most difficult conversations are the ones that we need to have with the person in the mirror. Heck, I'm challenged with that myself. So keep that in mind. Get a financial professional to help extrapolate what's important to you, get it on paper, and develop a plan around that. Let them be the one that guides you in that massive intersection with all of those different options, and you have no idea where to go. Find somebody that can provide that clarity, and trust me, you'll feel proud of that moment in the future. So hope you enjoyed today's content, and I look forward to chatting with you guys soon.